On this episode, we cover crop progress across Indiana and Illinois. Do you know the real meaning of yield drag? Listen in to hear the real definition. Area Sales Manager Lynn Willams provides a report from the field to educate us about stock crops. We answer a burning question out in the field. Why would you want to buy from Merschman Seeds? Hear Joe and Tommy discuss this question and the pros and cons to look out for when you are buying seed.
Hi, this is Joe Merschman. Welcome to Cup of Joe, Season 2, Episode number 10. Today we have our regulars, Tommy, Turk, and Ben, and we got a lot to talk about. We're going to start off with Turk today just because he's been out in the field seeing some yields.
Spent the week in eastern Illinois and Indiana this week, Joe, and can't believe how fast things are changing. You know, the combines are rolling on corn, and a lot of soybean combines were rolling, and everybody we talked to said it is changing really, really fast. The rains that have come through have really knocked the leaves off. Things are maturing. Really didn't see a lot of green fields. So the frost issue is pretty well past us, looks to me like. There's a few fields that were green, but for the most part, now the leaves are off. You can see exactly how tall they are. There's still some short beans out there, but there's some really good looking beans as well. So Indiana especially, I was impressed. We were in a plot over there that was planted June 6th, and they look like there's 60 bushel beans there all day long. So really looked good. Came back into Illinois and got down to Mark Warner's plot at Gaze, Illinois. And
which is right around Mattoon, right?
Right, just south and east of Mattoon, just a little bit, or west of Mattoon. And but he was they were taking a plot out. Greg Davison was the sales manager down there, and he was shocked almost at the numbers he was getting. His plot was planted June 8th, and he was pulling off some enlist soybean yields in the mid 70s, and 76 I think was his high yield, and a lot of 70s, 71, 72s, and then a few were down a little bit lower. But he just said he had been tickled to death with 50 all year long, and then he's getting these kinds of yields. It's just crazy.
He had a lot of water on that plot.
He a lot of water.
Yeah.
I mean, he said there was never seen so much water in his life come across that field, and how much it was. And so he said these seed treatments are really working.
Awesome. Well, I was talking to Skip the other day, and we're talking about this yield drag. As he's out there looking at seed field productions, and he said, Joe, there's definitely yield drag associated with LibertyLink GT27 and Enlist D3. And I go, how's that, Skip? And he goes, you got to drag a lot more yield to town.
You got to drag it to town.
Yeah. So I think that's where the yield drag thing started out. They have to drag more bushels to town, and some folks are thinking it yields less, and I think they're mistaken, aren't they?
That's true. I mean, it's seed quality and it's seed treatments that are making a huge difference. Obviously, we all know that Enlist and LGT27s yield fantastic, but the difference, I think, is making sure you got that right variety on the right field, and you have those seed treatments out there that are protecting that yield all season long. And then obviously our Tripidity is a game changer as well.
Yeah, the biostimulants are relatively new to the industry. A lot of people don't understand them. And the Tripidity, which is 3 different products in one, basically to mitigate stress. And we always have stress at emergence time. So
a little bit this year.
Yeah, and so it's a game changer, and a lot of companies skip that, and it's not a low cost seed treatment to put on. So I think that's a good point, Turk, to talk about. The fact if you're not getting Tripidity, the biostimulant, as well as your multiple fungicides and your insecticide, you're possibly getting shortchanged, particularly when it comes to stress.
Yep.
Ben, you've been out in the field too. Tell us a little bit about what's going on.
So we've been taking lots of notes this week in regards to how things look on the corn and soybean side of stuff. Sustainability ratings, brown stem rot ratings, and things of that nature. We're going to plots to look at new potential soybean varieties that are going to be coming in, the 2021 lineup, some products that may not have brown stem rot. We might have replacements that have brown stem rot or a better phytophthora gene or better tolerance or something like that. So plots are interesting. We always learned a lot of stuff when we're walking through plots. I talked to Warren Stein yesterday afternoon, and the majority of their seed corn harvest is finished in Iowa. And I just thought it was interesting that the yields were really good. We're not going to have a shortage of corn. Things are looking great. They're really excited.
Seed size decent?
Seed size is decent. I mean, it's everything that we've been looking for. So 2 months ago when we talked about, potentially having shortage, or there's rumors running around that we were going to be shortage on seed corn from an industry standpoint, not necessarily a Stein standpoint. I don't think that's not the case with Stein. Their delays got planted. I mean, things just are rolling really well, and we're going to have great quality,
Awesome.
high-yielding Stein seed moving in for next year. So that was something worth noting. We have actually been out in a couple fields that have had some stalk rot issues, and I'm running around and learning and teaching my new protege that's taking over the sales area, Lynn Willams, and Lynn's actually got an awesome clip for us. I think it's like a couple-minute clip here talking about how to find the difference between the different stalk rots that we have out there. So I think we can go ahead and roll in.
As we begun harvest in southeast Iowa, we've been asked by a few producers to come out to investigate some areas of their field where they feel like the corn has died before reaching physical maturity. As we've gone out to the field, the first thing we notice is there's stalks laying on the ground, the tops are starting to break off. You grab the plant, you can pull the plant straight out of the ground. Upon further investigation, we split the plant in half. We've noticed that they're exhibiting Gibberella stalk rot. And Gibberella stalk rot is going to be common late in the season in wet and warm conditions. You're going to be able to identify Gibberella stalk rot pretty easily. When you open the plant in two, you'll see the plant has cannibalized itself. You'll have stringy pith, and it'll have a pink discoloration. Another possible cause could be Fusarium stalk rot, which will also have the stringy shredded pith. It just will not exhibit the pink discoloration like Gibberella stalk rot. Fungicide application can help with Gibberella stalk rot and Fusarium stalk rot, as well as crop rotation and tillage to help reduce the buildup of inoculum. You also want to make sure that you have a balanced fertilization, maintain appropriate plant populations, practice adequate insect control, and provide good drainage to help reduce stresses that predispose plants to stalk rot. Early harvesting is also an option to avoid losses. Reporting from southeast Iowa, I'm Area 17 Sales Manager Lynn Willams.
Thanks, Lynn. That was pretty entertaining, and I think we all learned something off of how to differentiate between the difference of what we're looking at and maybe how to potentially avoid issues like this. We just had a lot of water this year. An excess amount of moisture this late in season hasn't helped us. So that's basically what I had. Like I said, stay tuned. We're taking lots of notes. Yields are coming off cornfields. Areas where we had adequate amounts of moisture are looking really good. We're seeing yields in the 230, 240 range. Areas that are drought stressed, it's just not quite there like we've had in the past. So I'm optimistic. Not a lot of bean yields are coming off in the immediate West Point area, but I think next week we're going to have a lot more to share with you when it comes to yields on beans.
Saw some 100 bushel yields coming out from the southern areas this
In
past
spots,
week.
yeah.
Spots.
Yeah, I saw the Eisenhower 118 on the yield monitor, which is an new enlist variety. So yeah, that's impressive. Tommy, I know you work on the sales side of this thing, and I know there's a lot of companies out there, throwing the old price ball,
Right.
So what do you think? I have some opinions, and let's talk about that.
Well, like I've learned from Turk when I first came aboard here, is kind of how you handle the price, or when someone's trying to beat you up on price, or you're trying to compare to other companies. It's always, what are we comparing to? And when I compare Merschman Seeds to anybody else, it's I talk about seed treatments, or talk about tripidity and how it mitigates stress, and how Merschman's is farmer first by doing things like bringing you a Levo when it first came out, which is now Saltro, in our opinion, is a better option. A Levo is kind of like dial-up, and then Saltro is kind of like your fiber optic now, Joe. They both do kind of the same thing, but the Saltro is a much better upgraded version of SDS protection.
So basically you're saying is when we were first cruising on the internet and we had a dial-up connection, we were pretty much right uptown.
Right.
But in today's world, because of change and technology changes and whatnot, you really got to have a high-speed connection, and not usually a fiber optic, and Sultro's like the latest fiber optic way to get on the internet.
Absolutely. That's exactly what I'm trying to explain. And I will say that, when we're running into these prices or situations where farmers are just trying to get information, or other seed companies or trying to have different tactics on how to sell that seed, is I sell Merschmans, as we've been in business. This is going to be our 66th year. We've always been your friend in the field. We've always been upfront and honest, which may have hurt us at times. But that's just who we are, and we've stayed the course, and we're proud of it. And it's easy to be a Merschman salesman, because that's what you can trust, and you can have honesty. And I feel pretty good about not lying to people when I'm out in the field, to be honest with you, Jim.
Well,
and not saying other seed companies are, but we have a dedicated salesman for that territory to put the right acre or the right product on the right acre. We have a dedicated agronomist that is very passionate about their brand that they're a part of. We have you, Joe, that's picking up great seed treatments and getting the latest and greatest of everything, like we talked about, Levo versus Sultro. And I think that's important when you want to pick a seed brand, is someone that's going to tell you the truth and is going to have your benefit at heart in the end, and not think about price on the upside, but think about the yield on the backside.
You're exactly right, Tommy. I think if I was a farmer and a seed salesperson came in to me, and the first thing he wanted to do was talk to you about how cheap he could sell you seed, I'd kick him off the farm.
Yeah.
Because if a farmer saves $5 an acre or $7 an acre, $8, even $10 an acre on a bag of seed, but does not get the yield at the end of the day, is that going to make the difference between prosperity and failure, or what? The bottom line is, we focus on the yield. We focus on the farmer profitability. So we encourage our salespeople, first of all, to ask a lot of questions. What is your yield limiting factor? Is it a phytophthora? And then maybe we'll prescribe a soybean that has the new 3A gene, some of the new products. Is it weed control? We have tremendous options. Or is it a field where you're next to a neighbor and you have to be concerned about off-target movement? We want to have all those discussions, because at the end of the day, the yield is what we are delivering to the farmer.
Absolutely.
And saving $3, $4, $5, or even $10 a bag on a bag of seed is nothing to getting an extra 5, 10 bushels more yield on the other side. And I think farmers don't fall for the oldest trick in the seed business, and that is to lead with price, because that is not in your best interest. Profitability is in your best interest. And that, I know we run into this all the time, because we spend a lot of time and money and on innovation. We cannot be the lowest cost. It's impossible. Quality, service, price, pick any two, that still holds true today. And so we do not deserve to be on your farm unless we create value and profitability for you. And that's what we'll put ourselves up against anyone. And like you said, Tommy, integrity and honesty is what my father built his business on, and we continue that, and it flows through our entire company. I know I always kid around and tell our salespeople when they come in, I said, you may not believe this, but my dad had a Catholic education, and I did too, and we had a lot of nuns and priests. And if you were late with anything, you got a 0. There was no negotiations. There was no second chance. So I always tell our salespeople, I said, we're actually, this company is run by the nuns. In other words, we follow the rules, we play by the rules, and we can't understand companies that don't. And it really frustrates us when we run into things that are said that are not exactly true, are a little bit stretched, misleading. And so we get very frustrated, because if we tell you something, you can count on it. Because my dad said, your reputation is priceless, and we will continue to bring farmers value and work very hard for them, because at the end of the day, that's who we are responsible for. We're responsible to our customers, not Wall Street, not like the other companies that got to meet a certain target, that have a certain budget they got to meet no matter what. We treat our customers the same, and we do everything possible, and we don't play the games. And I would find it hard to deal with a company that focuses on price and not on your profitability.
And throw the service side into it, Joe. I mean, there's no one that can compare to our service that we provide for our customers. I will guarantee that.
Well, that's, I always tell customers, you buy one bag of seed from us, you have a problem with it, I will send a rep out to your farm. I will make sure somebody steps on your farm to see what's wrong and try to help you get through it. One bag. And that's not a bulk bag. I'm talking about a 1 acre worth of seed. Try that at Walmart, where you get really cheap prices. But at the end of the day, we try to do things right, and we like to work with customers that are the same way, and we have a bunch of loyal customers. I mean, we have third-generation customers that have been with us, and we can't thank them enough.
A lot of profitable customers.
Yep, and so be careful out there when the seed company comes out there, and particularly the salesman that's probably on straight commission and will say anything, do anything, and will lead with price as opposed to focusing on the end result, profitability. And that's my 2 cents today.
Yep. That's hit the nail on the head for me, Joe.
Anything else that we need to talk about?
Should be good.
Well, as always, we appreciate your business, appreciate you tuning in, and we'll continue to bring you as much value as we possibly can to help you grow your yields and grow your profitability. So let's grow in 2020 with Merschman Seeds. See you next week.